action.
Hi, I'm Dr. Joe with the LSU AgCenter, and today I'm going to talk to you about making your own rooting chamber. Now, if you have a lot of plants in your garden, or your neighbor has a lot of plants that you really like and you like to share them with each other, well, one great way of doing that is doing rooted cuttings. Now here we have a pineapple sage plant. Beautiful. You see it's a large plant. Now if I wanted to share this with some of my friends, I could take cuttings off of it and then I want to root these. So I would take my cuttings and prepare them to root. But now I'm going to show you a great way you can build a chamber to root your cuttings in, that all you got to do is stick them in and forget about it until you go back and take them out and they'll have the roots on them. So this is a real inexpensive way to make your own rooting chamber. Now here's one that I've made. I'm going to show you how it is. You get something that has some nice height to it, because remember, you're going to put cuttings in here and they might be a little bit tall. So this one's about 14, 15 inches tall. Buy the cheapest one you can find at your department store, at your big box store, because you don't need anything fancy. And I like to tell people about this is the really expensive ones are sometimes sealed really tightly. Well, you don't want your rooting chamber to be sealed tightly. You want air exchange going on. So I buy the cheapest ones I can find. And the only alteration I make to it is I drill holes in the bottom of the container. And those holes are so that I never get any excess moisture, because in a rooting chamber you want about 100% humidity. And you can do that by watering your potting mix before you stick your cuttings in. But now, if you're like me, you don't want to measure and check and all that. So I know that if I have holes in the bottom, once I put the media in there, I can pour water on it as much as I want, and it's not going to get over wet. So it'll drain out. But now remember, if you do that, don't have it sitting on your kitchen counter when you're adding the water. You do have drain holes, and any excess water you put in there is going to run out onto whatever it's sitting on. So here you have your rooting chamber. Nice, inexpensive. It's got holes in the bottom, so it's ready to fill with media. Now as you can see, this one has a number on it, number 3. And that's because I have quite a few of these. And if you number them, then when you put seed cuttings in to root your cuttings, you can make a little log in your gardening notebook about, okay, in rooting chamber number 3 on such and such date, I put in 35 cuttings from my pineapple sage. Now I know if I check on rooting chamber number 3 that it's full of pineapple sage, I don't have to open it up and look in it. I can just leave it until they're rooted. So now I got the chamber set up, and I want to fill it with my rooting mix. Now you can use anything. You can use seedling mix. You can buy straight potting mix. I like to mix 1 part perlite with 1 part peat moss, and that's what I turn into my rooting mix. Now, if you watched any of our other videos, you may recognize this as sterilized potting mix. Check out the video on using a microwave to sterilize your potting mix, and you'll know where this came from. So now I just pour this into the bag, into the rooting chamber. And here's some more I have, all sterile. So I'm starting out with sterile media to do my rooted cuttings in. Then you just level it out, bounce it a little bit. And so now you can see I've got about 2 inches of media in the box, which is about how much you want to have in there to give the plants and the cuttings plenty of place to root. I got my sterilized rooting media in there. I've got a container with a top on it. Now you definitely want to have a top, because once you put it in there, you want the humidity to be about 100%. So with my pineapple cuttings, now with sage, you don't really need to put a rooting hormone on there, other things. You may need to use a rooting hormone, but with this pineapple sage, I take my cuttings, I stick them into the media, and then I put the top on, close it up. Now I just put this in a nice shady location because you don't want it to get so hot it cooks your cuttings. So in the house, under a workbench, a shady spot in your garden. I have a date when I know when I started them. Now I just set it and forget it. In about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I'm going to come back and I'll have a chamber full of rooted pineapple sage that I can share with all my friends. So this is a nice, cheap way to make a rooting chamber that you can do cuttings of anything in, and you'll have plenty to share, or you can get some from your neighbor. With the LSU Ag Center, this is Dr. Joe.